Okay, it appears we are live. Welcome to anybody who's coming in. This is a random stream on a Thursday because I have nothing to do tonight, and I thought let's do a live stream. We're going to be doing some feedback later on in the stream, and I'm going to be, maybe doing a little bit of work on this track right now. Welcome. Yes, we are live. A little bit later than normal. I had some stuff to do, but we're live. And we'll be live tomorrow as well, by the way. Tomorrow will be a full-on production stream. Today we're going to do a little bit of production, well, actually just most likely just playing this and maybe doing a little bit of work on it. And then we're going to go into a feedback session, which probably will make up most of the stream. So the instructions on how to send in your track are in the description of this stream. That's for when you are on YouTube. It's actually very simple. Just make a €5 donation and include your link with the donation, and then I'll give you feedback on your track. So I think €5, that's not really a lot. So if anybody wants some feedback, that's what you got to do. Now, I started this track here for fun, actually, and I'm just gonna play it. It's actually I spent most of the time I spent on the piano here, which is this part, and other than that, it's just really I really have played around just a little bit, trying to get something down, and I thrown in a cheesy vocal from a sample pack, so. It's a little bit cheesy, but it's different from what I normally make. What? What's the problem, Billy? We did this last week, and it actually went very well. I'm not forcing you to do anything. Right? No problem, Billy. Accept it. Now don't mind the vocal, guys. I don't know if this will end up in the tune or not, but...
I can hardly breathe, and I can hardly see, but I can't forget you. No, I can't forget you. I can hardly breathe, and I can hardly see, but I can't forget you. No, I can't forget you.
So that's pretty much what I have right now. I don't normally make liquid, so this is actually very new for me, and I had a lot of fun writing this piano part, to be quite honest. I used the Giant. Where are the vocals from? The vocals are from a sample pack. It's what was it called? Run It Silk Vocal Samples. That's the sample pack.
I can hardly breathe, and I can hardly see, but I can't forget you.
Now I pitched this up. Yeah. Oh, I didn't even pitch it up that much. It's only one semitone, but I don't know if this will end up in the track. It's just there. It kind of fitted the chord progression, so that's why I put it in it. Maybe I'll just find an actual vocalist for this track, but you know, having a bit of vocal there just helps to give me a bit of an impression of how it will sound with a vocal in it. Just an idea for the intro, have the chords played in a strumming fashion. Well, actually, I had a lot of fun writing this piano part, and if we go in it, you can really see what I did. Like, these chords are actually strummed. It's kind of a bit masked right now in the mix because it's just, there's some synths going on as well that definitely need some EQing to make some space for the piano. And the piano might need some processing, but I mean, they're really short. Maybe I could make them a little bit longer. It's in D minor, or D sharp minor, actually. I don't know, I really like D sharp minor. It's actually a pretty easy skill to work with as well. Pretty much all the black keys on the piano that you can use, and then it's, I think, a B, yeah, a B and an F note that you can use. Yeah, B and F. And it's actually a really cool skill. It sounds pretty interesting, but I think it's really, really good skill as well for these kind of liquid tracks. And especially because I never do this, so this is all new for me, and I'm really just trying out what I can do with it. That's a lead guitar from Omnisphere. Actually liked it. Might do some pitch bends on it. You could do some pitch bends maybe on it. That could be cool. I'll definitely have to automate that, or do it with my MIDI keyboard. That would actually be pretty easy, just like I just played it. In the intro, I'm actually using the same piano, but then with a lot of reverb on it. And it's just repeating that a couple of times in the intro. I found that to actually be really nice. Because the piano actually comes in here, like the full piano part. And I'm automating because I'm using the Giant here. Now, I actually initially written this patch with Una Corda, which is also a piano library for Kontakt, which actually I really like as well, but my computer was actually starting to act a little bit weird because it's a really heavy piano library. So I decided to go for the Giant, which is a little bit less heavy on my RAM, and I automated this tone knob right here. This that goes from soft to hard, so you can see. And in the part where it hits a drop, it actually it goes to the center position, so it's actually right in between, in the middle. Gives it a bit of more of a like the piano players playing a little bit harder on the piano, and in the intro it's a little bit lighter. But there's quite a bit of there's some effects going on, I think, in here. Not sure. I thought I added a bunch of compression, but I think it was this compressor right here, and it's not turned on, so it's not really compressed right now. So that compresses it quite a bit.
I can hardly breathe, and I can hardly see, but can hardly breathe, and I can hardly see, but I can't forget you. No, I can't forget you. I can hardly breathe, and I can hardly see, but I can't forget you. No, I can't forget you. You. I can hardly breathe, and I can hardly see, but I can't forget you. No, I can't forget you. I can hardly breathe, and I can hardly see, but I can't forget you. No, I can't forget you.
So that's the bass. It's actually not that complicated. It's just a patch in Diva. I actually find Diva to be really good for Reese's lately. So I used let's see, I'm using the dual VCO. So it's actually two saw waves that are detuned from each other and running through a low-pass filter. That's pretty much it. There's not really much going on in here, except that the chorus is not turned on, so I'm not really doing much. The only thing I'm doing here in the trimming section is I'm using the reset phase over here to make sure that the phase restarts the same time every time you trigger a note, and that's really important. Can you talk about the drums in this one? Well, sure, I'll be able to show you the drums in a bit. And the bass is actually really simple. I've just layered it with this serum patch, which is just like, I don't even know, it's not even really a bass. It's like a reverb synth. And somehow, I think this one has a pitch bend on it. Or a legato, I mean. Yeah, this one is set to legato. I'm not even sure why that is happening. Because it should be doing that. And I mean, it definitely needs to be EQ'd and definitely needs to be worked on. But like the sketch of the track is there and I'm actually really enjoying it. So I might actually turn this into a full-on track. Now for the drums, they're actually really simple. So I have one main kick snare pattern. This top track, you don't have to look at that. That's my sidechain trigger track. That's just a really short kick drum that I'm using. Actually, it's just a transient of a kick drum, so it's really short. And it's bypassed, so you don't hear it. Now, the main kick and snare pattern, you can hear that the kick is really weird. This is like a really weird kick. But somehow in the mix it just works. Like, I'm actually taking out quite a bit of stuff. I'm not even sure why this EQ is there, because it's not really doing anything, so let's just get rid of it. Yeah, that makes more sense. So we have one EQ here to actually shape the sound, and then we have one EQ to make sure that the stereo content is not that much on the sides of the signal. So this one is a mid-side EQ, and I'm in the sides, I'm just high-passing it so that there's no low end in the sides. I find that helps with the mixing, but the kick is actually really weird. Yeah, there's not really that much going on. It's just a bit of transient shaping going on in isotope alloy here, which actually isn't really that much what I'm doing, I think. It's just a bit of transient shaping and a little bit of distortion with camel fat on the end. And other than that, that's the main kick and snare. And the main kick and snare don't really sound that big, but that's not the point of these kind of tracks, I think. And damn, Isotope Alloy really always takes a long time to load on this computer. So I'm regretting that I clicked it. Oh, I'm actually taking down the middle transient, the middle bend. I'm taking that one down a bit. So let's see how it sounds before Isotope Alloy without it. I don't know, it's just... The drums sound a bit weird to begin with, but the main groove comes from this one, which is like it's a chopped up break, actually. And you can hear that they're actually pretty stuttery because I'm using these fades. But in the mix you don't really hear it because it's layered with that little cymbal. So you don't hear it as much. There's a little bit of low end in the break, so I'm taking that out. And that layered with the main kick and snare is pretty much the entire drum groove that I have right now. And again, I'm not doing that much right here. That break is so good. Where did you get it? I sampled it from a track, I think. It is... I couldn't really tell you where it comes from, but let's see. It's in my folder right here. Let me switch to a different one so you can actually see. Wait a minute. See, so this is my actual folder with breaks that I sampled myself, sometimes there are a few breaks in here that come from other sample packs, but that I've processed myself to fit a particular groove. But most of them are actually sampled, and this one is definitely sampled. This one is not from a sample pack, I think, at least. I called it Pack My Back, so maybe the title of the track I sampled it from was actually Pack My Back. And I have another version here. Yeah, I have a lot of breaks in here. I might add some, well, you know, it's difficult because I'm not sure how many of these breaks are actually copyrighted, you know? They might actually be copyrighted, and that's, you know, especially stuff like this. You know, everybody knows that one. But there's some self-made breaks in here as well. I'll see what I can do, guys. There's a lot of breaks in here, actually, but that's just where this comes from. I think I sampled it from a track. I had this phase where I started collecting tracks that had interesting breaks in them and just started sampling them. Yeah, there are a bunch that are definitely from sample packs. I know. I know. There are a bunch in here that are surely from sample packs. And there are also a bunch in here that are not from sample packs. I mean, I I pretty much said that already before I started going through them. So I kind of like the piano, but I really like the version with una corda better. I have to say, the version with una corda was really good. I don't know, that one has just a different sound, you know? Like, don't get me wrong, this piano sounds pretty good. On that break in the track, just try adding distortion in, and then after that, transient shaper with lower sustain. We can try. We can try. Like what type of distortion? Like really subtle distortion, I would say. Camel fat. Okay, we can do that because I have camel fat. Let's try that out. Bit of the tube, probably. And then the native instruments transient shaper. The transient master, because that's the only one I have. I think that's the only one they make, but let's lower the sustain. It does make it sound a bit more tight. It definitely cleans it up a bit. It gets rid of a bit of the background noise. That's actually pretty cool, and that's actually because of the transient shaper, I think. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's probably stuff I would still do. I mean, I haven't really paid attention to adding hats to this. But we'll do it. Let's see if I have some hats right here. I need like a real hi-hat. I definitely need like a real hi-hat, something that sounds a bit more acoustic. Let's see. Come on. Yeah, thanks for the advice, man. Thanks. Oh, these are actually from my own sample pack. Let's just put that in. Not that loud, though. We can just take one of these and see how that sounds. Oh yeah, we could use something like that. Oh wait, these are not from my own sample pack. These above here are, but those aren't. Well, whatever. So yeah, I wasn't actually going to produce a lot today. Are there any people in here right now who are interested in doing a feedback session? Let me know in the chat. And thanks, Untech. I will definitely work on this in a bit in the upcoming days. Maybe tomorrow on stream I'll actually work on this on this tune properly. I wasn't really gonna be doing that much producing tonight, unless you guys are not interested in a feedback session, that is. Okay, then we'll go into a feedback session. You guys know what to do, and if you don't, check out the donation link in the description, or you can use the super chat feature of YouTube. €5 is enough for feedback, and just include your link in the little message box when you fill in your donation. Then I'll be able to find your link back. You have one box, right? Well, that's what we did last week. Last week we had a feedback session, and it actually went pretty well. Here. That's a little bit more clear. We did a feedback session last week, and actually went pretty well. And I figured people wanted to do another feedback stream. Yeah, no problem. You can go wherever you want. I'm gonna be here. Don't be afraid. I'm not going anywhere for at least the coming hours. I'm pretty tired though, but I'm gonna try to stay here Well, hey, I'm not forcing you to do anything, man. If you don't want to, if you don't want to have your track reviewed for a little donation in exchange for that, then that's fine. It's your choice. I'm not forcing anybody to do anything. You know, it was just, that's what we did last week, and it actually went really well. So I figured, let's do it again. I mean, I could be producing in this time as well, right? So it's your guys' choice. Whatever you want. We either produce or we do a feedback session. I'll wait for a little bit and see what happens. I guess that's the problem. I mean, we've all been there. I'll just have the track playing in the background for a bit. Okay, so YouTube is showing up that my stream is actually a little bit slow. If you guys are having any issues, let me know. I'll be shutting off Ableton for now. That'll probably free some processing power up from this computer, because otherwise it's going to be really slow. Hey Artifacts, I would love to see a new drum stream session. Any chance soon? Well, maybe I can always do something. Yeah. Yeah, I can always do like a stream on drums. I did do that though, not that long ago. It's on my YouTube channel. But yeah, I'll definitely do it. I'm gonna look at your link right now, man. I'm just saving this project file and shutting it down. And then I'm gonna look at your link. Let's see. It was this one, right? Yeah. That piano is magic. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm really digging the little liquid drum and bass thing lately. I never really gotten into liquid, to be quite honest. I never had the urge to listen to liquid. I never really had the urge to produce it. I did do like a couple of things that probably people would consider to be liquid, but I don't really have. I haven't really done any. Well, when I made those tracks, I wasn't really aware of the term liquid, to be quite honest. I didn't really knew about the whole genre. So I was just making a little bit, well, lighter sounding drum and bass every now and then. But yeah, I decided to just make like a full-on liquid track. I think it's actually pretty interesting just to see what I can do, you know? Anyway, we're gonna have a listen to this track. I'm gonna see right now. Let's have a look if the audio of my browser is also coming through in the stream. Let's see. Looks like it does. So there we go.
So when you call me back, if I broke your heart, how should I react if you say it was broken from the start? So when you call me back, how should I react? So why'd you call me back? To finally stop crying. To finally stop crying. Pieces gas smaller. Pieces gas smaller. To finally stop crying. To finally stop crying. Pieces gas smaller. Pieces gas. So why'd you call me back? If I broke your heart, should I react? You say it was broken from the start. Why'd you call me back?
First thing I noticed in this track is that the mix is really muddy. You definitely want to look into EQing all the sounds and making sure that they don't sound that muddy, because it definitely sounds pretty muddy at the moment.
You want me hurt from the inside out, like a hot coffee, but in summer. It never feels just right.
Especially like that stuttery synth bass kind of thing. I think especially when in this section right here. I don't know. It's an interesting idea to have like a stuttery, like a 1/8 note rhythmic bass or synth going on right there. But I think this particular one, it doesn't really fit the mix that well. drums definitely need some work.
Never feels just
Like they sound
right.
pretty weak, to be honest. It sounds like you really compressed it a lot, and that the drums aren't even that punchy. Like you have some pretty small sounding drums, and then you've added like a lot of compression on the entire thing to just bring it all up. It's not really that powerful this way. I would say the drums, they sound like they're coming from maybe an acoustic drum kit or something like that. Maybe you've used Addictive Drums or something similar. What I would advise you to do is layer them up with like full-on synth drums or some drums from like a sample pack. Because right now, I'm not really sure what you've used, but...
And my words, they bite.
I do like the vocal though. The vocal is actually pretty good.
Something keeps breaking, the pieces get smaller.
But I bet that's actually coming from the original track. I don't know the original track, so...
I never said I was gonna stop crying, but when something keeps aching, you start to find comfort in the state of mind. That's why you called me back when I broke your heart. See how I'd react. You said it was broken from the start. Keep calling me back so I can fix your heart. Like you need me back till we grow apart. So why'd you call me back?
Yeah, I think if you really just work on the drums, that's your biggest issue right here. I would say working on the drums is your biggest thing that you would have to do right now. Try layering them up, adding like a good synthy kick drum. You could do it with kick too. You could also take any synthesizer and just synthesize a kick, or maybe you could just take like a sample from a sample pack and layer it up with the acoustic kick drum, and do the same for the snare. Try and make the snare. You could do it maybe with some processing. I actually did a video on my YouTube channel not that long ago where I processed an acoustic snare drum into a pretty good snare drum for a drum and bass track. So that could be something you can do. And otherwise, what you could do is, if you want to retain the actual acoustic sound, then I would just find a good punchy snare drum sample that you can layer underneath it so that it becomes a bit heavier. That will help to make it punch through the mix. Now, I do think that you definitely need to look a bit into the EQing of the sounds as well. I mean, I'm listening on my headphones, but I know these headphones pretty well, and I think it sounds a bit muddy in some sections, especially here in the intro part. Like in this section, it just feels like everything is fighting for space a bit, like the vocal is trying to be up front, but then you also have that little stuttery bass that is just sitting there, and it's kind of fighting a bit with the rest, and I would try working a bit on that. Maybe try carving out some frequencies here and there. Just try and clean it up a bit, basically. Let's see. What do we have in the chat? You don't like liquid D&B? You like heavy stuff? Well, I do as well, but it's just that, like, last week I've been getting into liquid drum and bass a bit, but otherwise I always make heavier stuff as well, so... Yeah, the vocal is straight from the original. Yeah, that's something I figured out already. Yeah, I would say just really your biggest issue would be the drums, and then just cleaning things up a bit and making it all sound a bit cleaner and less muddy, so that everything has a bit of its own space in the mix, and that's mostly EQ. Could we blame it on sidechain compression? I don't think so. I don't think that the sidechain compression makes it sound muddy. Probably the sidechain compression is actually making some room for the drums. So without the sidechain compression, you probably would even have less of the drums than you have right now. And I would say you need more of the drums up front. Oh, the Soundcloud compression. Okay. No, I don't think that's the case. The Soundcloud compression mostly affects your high frequencies, and it doesn't affect the muddy frequencies in your mix. It doesn't introduce a sudden muddy mix. That's not what it does. It will affect your high frequencies though. But it's not like you upload a clean track and then suddenly the track is muddy because of the SoundCloud compression. That won't happen. That's one thing that's for sure. But I would say just really, yeah, the drums need to be bigger. And work on your EQing on the sounds, because it also does sound like it's actually pretty heavily compressed, I would have to say.
You want me up from the inside.
And, you know, and if your mix is not that well balanced, then that compression is only gonna, well, it's only gonna show that even more, you know? If your mix is clean and you add some heavy compression, then it can work. You hear it a lot in drum and bass, actually. In a lot of tracks, you hear that they're quite heavily compressed. But because the mix is clean, you can get away with it. But when your mix isn't that clean, then it's only gonna make things even muddier than they already are. So you definitely want to work on that. Now, I'm not sure if we actually have more people coming in for feedback requests. Let's see. Oh, we actually do. So, yeah, that's pretty much what you want to work on. I think it's time that we move on to the next one. Let's see what this is. Oh, yeah, I should add this to a playlist. But this one is by Klaus Lunde. Check out the description, mate. There's a donation link, and I just ask a little donation of €5, and then I'll give you your feedback. I have to say I really like this track. On the mixdown I haven't really got any complaints, to be quite honest. I just have a feeling that the track itself, production-wise, it kind of moves all over the place. And this section here in the middle, right there in the middle, it suddenly becomes really empty. It's not really something I was expecting. I was expecting it to get like a really spacious, really, you know, atmospheric breakdown that would last a little bit longer as well. It has a pretty short breakdown, and then it goes into this really empty sounding bit. I'm not too sure about that part. I would actually like a more spacious breakdown, but that might just be my own personal preference. What genre is this? I would probably classify this as, well, it has a little bit of glitch hop influences, that's for sure. Those interesting synthy sounds, man, those are really good. Those vocally kind of sounds, those are really cool. It's something you hear quite a bit in glitch hop, vocally sounding synths, but I think you executed that actually really well. Glitch funk, that would be a good description, I think, yeah. But yeah, I think mixdown wise, just really well done. I'm not too sure about that middle section. That's just... See, it kind of becomes atmospheric for a bit. And then it goes into that. it kind of works. But I would definitely put some more effort into that part. Now, just like last time... Oh man, my computer is really working hard here. Just like last week, the browser window is freezing. Let me try and get rid of it for a bit while we just listen to this track. Can you submit a file download link? No, I'm not gonna go and download files while I'm streaming. But yeah, I would say the track is pretty interesting, man. I really like it. I really like this track. The only thing that I actually have a little bit of a complaint about is that middle section. I'm not really sure about it. I just find it goes too clean, well, too empty for just a bit. And I mean, the section after it is pretty good, and what is in front of it is really good as well. It's just that middle section that I really think of, like, I would change it. I would like a more atmospheric kind of breakdown that goes on for a bit longer as well. Maybe with some with a lead, because the lead that you've got in there is actually pretty cool. I really like the lead, so if you would maybe do that in the breakdown as well, do like a little solo part maybe. That could maybe work. You could make the breakdown a little bit longer, and then bring that drum fill back in, and maybe make like a little bit of a fuller part that comes after it. Okay, so let me start up the browser window again. How can you post the tracks? You can use the what's it called? The super chat feature in YouTube to make a little donation, or you could use the Streamlabs donation link in the description and send me a donation of €5, nothing too much, and include your link in the little message of your donation so I can find it back. Let me open up a second window. So I can actually see my Streamlabs. Are you only gonna review tracks? Probably, yeah. Tomorrow I'm going to do a production stream. I don't really feel like producing much tonight. A bit tired today, so tomorrow I'll do a production stream. Probably the liquid drum and bass track that I've been working on earlier this week, if my PC will allow it. Okay, so we're back. Is there anything else about the track that I wanted to say? Let's see. I really like the intro. The intro is very well done. See, that lead right there. I think if you use that lead in the breakdown and make the breakdown a bit longer and do something with that lead, I think that would actually add something to the track and make it sound a bit better. Like, just have this part continue And then right here, I would start the lead. And then just maybe make it twice as long or 3 times as long as it is right now. And just use that lead to kind of fill up the breakdown a bit. It can be a bit longer, I think. The track is only 3 minutes, so you can definitely make this a bit longer in the breakdown. It'll probably bring your track to about 3.5 minutes, which is good as well. Your track's a bit on the short side right now, so other than that, you had a 3-minute deadline for the video. Okay, well, that's fine. That's fine. I know those times. I know the moments when you have a deadline and you gotta finish it. You know, like, you know, projects that you really can't figure out what to do. And then you realize, like, okay, it's now 1 day before the deadline. I really gotta finish something and I still have to start something. And because of the pressure, you somehow get inspired. And you do finish it, but... You mean in length, okay. Well, then you did a good job, because it's exactly 3 minutes. But, yeah, I think it's actually a pretty good track, man. I'm just not sure about that middle section, but if it has to be 3 minutes, then, well, there's not really more that you can do about it, I guess. But it's definitely an interesting track. Yeah, see, that lead is really good. I really like that lead. This actually makes me want to try making some glitch hop again. It's been a while since I've done that. Maybe tomorrow. Who knows? Yeah, I really like the track, man. Really well done. Great job. I'll give you a follow. Where do I submit a link for reviewing? You can submit your link by making a €5 donation. Just send your donation using this YouTube super chat. Or use the Streamlabs link in the description below this video. How do I follow you? Oh, I guess you're talking to somebody in the chat. Yeah, well done, man. I really enjoyed this track. Like I said, it's actually making me want to do some glitch hop again, which I haven't done in years. So who knows, maybe we'll try doing some glitch hop, but the fact that this track actually makes me want to do that says enough, I guess. Well done. Let's see, do we have something more? We do, actually. We do. What do we have here? Let's see. Aiken, Switchblade. Okay, interesting. I think sound design wise, it's pretty okay. You know, I mean, the sounds itself are pretty good, but structure wise, arrangement wise, I think the way it's arranged right now isn't really the best way of doing it. You have like an intro part that's good. I mean, it's not that bad, to be honest. It's actually pretty good. The drums, I think, especially the snare, is very compressed. So, especially in the drop, you can just hear there isn't really that much of a transient anymore on the snare. It's just compressed a lot. I would prefer a snare with a bit more of a transient. That's easily to do, by the way. You just have to layer it or use a transient shaper, or just dial back the compression a bit. That's also something you could do. Now, see, that bass actually could work. It's not that complicated, the bass. It's a pretty simple bass, but it does the job. But I think the structure of what you've done right here, you've got that what is it, 16 bars of drop right here, and then you've got another 16 bars of something. I think it's 16, but see, I would like to actually have the drop continue right here, and after that part, maybe do a breakdown, and then go into another drop, which could be slightly different from the first one, where now you actually have a really short drop first, and then you have this, well, something that should be like, that functions as a breakdown. And a build-up at the same time, kind of. And then it goes into that different sounding drop. Which is kind of the same thing as you've got right here, but then there is I think it's an auto pan that you've put on it with a 1/8 note rhythm or something similar to that. Could also be a low pass filter maybe, but yeah, I think it's a low pass filter, but that's fine. But then that section just continues for like twice as long as the first drop. And I don't think that's the right way to do it. I think you at least want to have a little bit of consistency in the arrangement of the track. So you could have cut down this section and made it just as long as this. Or you could have made a variation on this section that you've got right here, that drop. Make a variation on it here, then have a breakdown. And then have a similar drop here with maybe that 1/8 note pattern going on, with that 1/8 note filter movement going on. That could be something to do in the second drop so that you have a little bit of variation, but at least make the structure a bit more consistent. And the build-up right now, it's... It's not too bad. You might be able to work a little bit on the transition between the drop and the build-up, because right now it kind of still, even though you have the drum fill, it kind of still jumps pretty abruptly into the drop. You do hear that the drop is coming, so you're definitely on the right path. But I don't know. It's just I would probably maybe add a little bit more of a riser here with some noise, maybe. Because there is something coming up in terms of a riser in the background, but maybe you could just bring that one up in volume a bit so it becomes a little bit louder, which will help to raise the tension in the build-up as well. And I would definitely like to see a little bit more of a transient on the snare, so that it's not as compressed as it is right now. Adrian, you can also submit your link in the chat or in the Discord server if that's what you want to do. I'm also on the Discord server. Just mention me on the Discord server and I'll be able to find it back. Yeah, I would definitely try to fix the arrangement first. That's definitely something you want to do, because that'll also give you a bit better. It'll show you a bit better how the track is actually going to flow from the first drop into the second drop. Because right now, I mean, that breakdown, it doesn't really make sense for me at the moment, especially not after such a short drop. It does remind me indeed of a lot of the older Neuro tracks. Definitely, it has a little bit of that old school vibe to it. Now I can also hear something. I'm not sure if you guys can hear it as well, but I think it's in the cymbals or in the break that you've used maybe. But there's some weird stuff going on in the high frequencies in the stereo of the whole track. There's something happens first in my left ear and then it happens in my right ear, which is a little bit awkward. I think it's the cymbals. Every what is it, 2 beats or every 4 beats or something, I hear like a weird cymbal-y sound just in my right ear, which is a little bit weird. Definitely try and fix that as well. But other than that, you're definitely on the right path. Like the bass sounds, they aren't that complicated, I have to say that. If you compare it to like the more modern Neurofunk tracks, the basses are a bit more sound design heavy nowadays. But if you're going for a bit more of that old school sound, then this is definitely going in that right direction. So, like it's cut off with a pen. That's an interesting description. Yeah, no, the thing in this last section, what really bugged me was that weird stereo sound, especially because it seems to happen only in my right ear, while some other sounds seem to happen more in my left ear, which could work, but I don't think in this instance it works out as good as you probably wanted it to. They also sound quite distorted, so I'm not sure if that's because of the new Soundcloud compression, but I don't think it is. But other than that, what else can we say? You've rebranded yourself from Galaxy Bacon to Akin. Okay, well, Galaxy Bacon sounds interesting. No, really, man. I'm digging the track. I'm gonna add it to my playlist, and I'll listen to it after the stream, see if I can hear anything more. I'll check it on my monitor speakers and see if I can hear anything else. Definitely try and fix that little stereo sound and fix the actual arrangement of the track, because I don't think that works too well at the moment. And then definitely you want to add like some sort of... I was gonna say add an outro, but you have a little bit of an outro going on. But again, like, this is only 2 minutes 41, so this is a pretty short track. So you could make this first drop twice as long, maybe even longer, and then have like a bigger breakdown, and then go into a second drop. That would be the biggest tip I can give you right now. So, I added this to a playlist, yes. Let's see, do we have something else? I think we do. Luke donated something, but there's no link, so I'm not sure if Luke wanted to actually have something reviewed, but if you do, there's no link, mate. So if you are still there, let us know in the chat. And somebody was saying that his link was too long, right? Oh yeah, Adrian. Your link was too long. Did you already go into the Discord server? Let's see. I don't think you did. Anyway, we don't have anything else right now, so there are no tracks to be reviewed at the moment, guys. Oh, Adrian is here. I'm not sure if Luke is still here, but he did make a donation, but there was no link included, so I'm sorry, Luke, but I would love to do a review of some kind. I'm looking in the chat if you maybe left something there, but I don't think you did. I don't think he did. Anyway, yeah, Galaxy Bacon, or what was it called? Aiken now. Yeah, just work on the arrangement. That's the thing you definitely want to work on. Arrangement is very important when it comes to a track. So try and make that arrangement a little bit more consistent. That's really something that I learned a couple of years back. My tracks used to be like this as well. Like I did a free EP in 2009, which was my first drum and bass EP, and I had the same thing like what you have right here. It's like the arrangement didn't really make sense. To me, it made sense, but later I started to realize that it actually didn't. And when I hear those tracks back now, I'm like, I didn't really understand arrangement. But at that point, I thought I was actually on the right track. And I mean, I actually was on the right track. Same for you. You are on the right track. You just want to make it all a bit more consistent. So that track is 2 minutes 41. You can easily go over 3 minutes with your track, maybe even 4, depending on the track itself. But yeah, I would definitely work on the arrangement first. So can we listen to this track again? Sure. Let's have a little listen again while we wait. Yeah. So, next track, guys. We have Untitled for Now by Dynieth, if I pronounce it right. Why do everyone donate less than €5? I'm not gonna give you guys a bad time for it, you know? Let's just play this and listen to it. Got a good feeling to it, really good vibes. You can also use the Streamlabs donation link in the description under the stream. Yeah, really well done. Just like Subfrequency is saying, I was really almost in the back of my mind. I was almost already hearing some drum fills going on in this section right here. See where the drums actually cut out? Like some drum fills, kind of like the Cohen Sound stuff that they did with Asa, or Asa, or however you want to call him. I think those kind of things really work. It doesn't have to be like a full-on drum fill. Could also be a couple of rides in the background, or something percussion-wise to just add a little bit of sparkle, as you would say, to that part. Because it sounds pretty good already at the moment, but I think stuff like that just turns it from something good into something much better, you know? That's why everybody loved that particular EP from Cohen Sound so much. because it had so much of those little details. Now I'm not sure if that's Cohen Sound or Asa, because it has a lot of the of Asa's sound on their EP. But they're doing a lot of these very tiny little details, and I think that is actually something that this track would benefit from as well. Now, you don't have to do the same thing as what they were doing. I think just like a ride could actually really work really well in this section. And you could maybe bring, right here, maybe start bringing in another percussion sound with a little fill in front of it, just to bring some more rhythm back in. I'm not sure if what happens right here. Let's see. So you could actually build it up with the drums and the percussion. That's something that could be really cool. Bring in some really simple light percussion right after where the drums stop. So maybe a ride, something like that. And then halfway through the section, do like a little drum roll. Could be a tom or a snare or a combination of the two. And then bring in another percussion sound that starts building up a little bit more rhythm again. And you kind of expect that to build up towards the second drop, as you to give it a name. But you're going into that more quieter section, so that could actually be really cool to have like one final drum fill on the end, and then you drop into that really quiet section. And then I would use like the same drum fill again on the end to lead back into that second drop. Not sure if you're doing something like that now. I don't think you are. You're doing the key change, which is pretty cool. I'm thinking if that would work with the drum fill. Maybe you could have a drum fill then leading into that first kick. And after that, you change the key. The change really stands out. Yeah, that is definitely a thing. It definitely... And I'm actually thinking if I like it or not. Petter, you donated, but nothing shows. Let me check. I turned the notifications off because otherwise I'm getting a lot of stuff in the screen. I'm not seeing anything in the Streamlabs. So I do see something from Medic, who's just supporting. Thanks for that, mate. But I don't see anything from Petter or whatever your username is. But I think I'm thinking about this key change, if it works or not. Okay, then it's good. Then I've actually seen your donation come in, man. But yeah, I'm thinking about the chord change, the key change. Because I'm expecting it to go back into what it was earlier, with maybe a new element added to it. I'm not expecting that chord change, to be honest. On another note though, the more I listen to it, the more I start to like it. Yeah, I agree with you, sub-frequency, especially on the drums. I definitely think some really rolling percussion layer, or maybe just even like a snare, a ghost snare here and there, could work really well, because it would definitely add more of a rolling vibe to the drums. And I think that is something that this track would actually really benefit from. The key change, I didn't expect it personally to happen, so it kind of threw me off as well. But I do think it can work, but you might want to introduce it a bit. Like, you have that melody going on right in front of it. That key change can maybe work if you start building down that melody a bit, so it's not as clear a melodic element anymore, and it just starts turning in this ambient, soundscapey kind of thing. And then you do the key change, then it might work, but I think it's too melodic right now. You have that clear melody going on right in front of the key change. And I think that's why it throws me off, because you can just really clearly hear that key change. And I mean, you're always going to hear a key change, don't get me wrong, but you can make it sound less in your face as it is right now. I don't know if that's the right way to describe it, but maybe indeed, yeah, maybe key change at a later time in this section could work. Like, have the first half be in the original key and then do a key change. That might be less unexpected, because I'm really expecting that same key to come in again right here. And I think if you do with some rolling or filling percussion like drum fills, I think that's definitely going to add something to it. But the vibe itself of that track is really nicely done. I'm really liking it. I think the snare drum or clap or whatever it is can be a little bit more upfront in the mix as well. Because, you know, the piano is quite loud, and I think the piano starts to become the element in the mix that is most upfront, and I think the drums fall a little bit into the background right now. I would try bringing those a little bit more up front in the mix. Maybe a little bit of saturation on them could work. Maybe it's just a matter of making them slightly louder. You know, just try it out. Just try and experiment with that. But I think the drums can be a little bit more up front in the mix. And I can hear you have some. Did you actually add that yourself, like the kind of like the bit crushed high end, the bit crushed noise in the background, or is that an effect of the SoundCloud compression? Because if that's the case, then the SoundCloud compression is really bad. So I'm really wondering if you've added that yourself or not, because it actually works. It gives it a bit of a lo-fi sound, which I kind of like. So I think I actually would keep that in there, but because I like what it does right there. Yeah, it's a delay. Okay. Yeah, I was wondering if like, if is that the SoundCloud compression doing that? Because if that's the case, then holy shit, the last upgrade screwed things up. But I like the effect. You put it there. Yeah, good. Yeah, it gives it a bit of a lo-fi sound, and that works in these kind of tracks. Might actually be something that I have to do in my little liquid bit that I started out. play around with that, like adding some subtle distortion like that, because it's definitely an interesting thing to do. So yeah, I really like this. I'm actually gonna give you a follow as well, because I quite dig this. Yeah, I really think it needs some good percussion stuff going on. Similar to what, like I said earlier, the Cohen Sound ASA tracks. That would probably be the best example to look at, you know, for inspiration. There's other producers probably. I'm not too much into the genre, so I can't really think of them. The ones I know best are probably the Cohen soundtracks. Not much into the chill genre. But I do like the sounds of them, you know, I do like the sounds of those tracks. And every now and then I have these phases where I do listen to these kinds of music. So, yeah, it's definitely interesting stuff. And I might try some more stuff in these kind of sounds as well myself, because I'm really enjoying it, to be quite honest, especially working with just a piano, you know. You've actually done that really well on this one. Piano sounds quite good, so I'm actually wondering, what piano did you use for this? Because it sounds quite good. Now, I've been playing around a lot in the last week with just working like just with a piano. Just load up one piano and just start writing a full-on piano piece and then turning that into a track. And it's actually really interesting, you know, because I never really do that much. Most of the time I'll just, you know, do some sound design or take some pre-made sounds. And now I really started focusing more on the melody of things, and on the actual progression instead of the sound. And that was a really interesting thing to do, because it's not something I normally do. So for me, it's completely new. And it's kind of like a breath of fresh air, I guess. You used Alicia's Keys. Okay, that's a really well-known one. A lot of people use that one. I personally don't have it, so I can't really see it. I haven't used it, you know. But I know a lot of people who use that piano. I know a lot. And yes, Medic, I saw your thingy. It's a YouTube link, so we'll check that in a bit. But yeah, I know the Alicia. My personal favorite for piano would be Una Corda. That's my personal favorite. It has a really intimate and soft sound as well. And I used that one in the little liquid thing that I started. I just changed it out for like the Giant because Una Corda was too heavy on my PC. Especially when doing like a live stream or recording a video. When I'm not live streaming or recording a video, I can run the plugin fine, but as soon as I start live streaming, it's just, it craps. My entire system just craps out and it just starts freezing up, and it's not fun. But guys, I am ordering my new PC, probably the coming week. I've been really going through all the parts and selecting things, and I think I have a good build right now. I think I have a good build selected. I really spent some time looking into some of the parts, especially the case that I selected, and I found out that the case that I had selected actually was a pretty well-reviewed case, but after like the first 3 or 4 months it was out, people started realizing that the airflow was actually not that good. So I'm glad I found it out, so I now selected a different case, and I think I'm going to go with the Fractal Design Define R6 case. Really, really sick looking case, and has everything I need. And supposedly it has good airflow as well. So I'm really looking into the parts right now one by one and seeing like where can I shave off a little bit of money from the build without actually shaving off too much quality of the build or too much processing power. And I think I'm getting close to like the perfect build for what I can get with the budget that I have. So the new PC is coming probably in the upcoming week or so. Pretty much whenever I order it, I'm gonna have the PC in like 3 or 4 days after it. So, and after that, we'll probably be able to do a lot more sicker live streams with a lot more producing, without my PC going all crazy and all freezing up, and you've seen in previous streams what can happen. But the end of that is near, guys, so it's going in the good direction. Now, I can't add this to a playlist because it's a private track. I'll just leave this open so that I can check it after the stream again. I really like it. I just I'm not too sure about the key change. You might want to just try out a version without the key change and just see how you like it, I do that a lot of times as well. When I'm not sure about a certain section of a track, I'll just create 2 different versions and just see which one I like most. Same goes for when I'm like doing a mixdown of a track. I do the same thing. I'll probably do like 1 or 2 or 3 different mixdowns and then compare each one and just see which one I like best and take that one. That's something you could do for this section. You could make 2 or 3 versions. One with the key change, one without the key change, and then maybe do one where you have the key change right here in the middle and just see how that sounds. How to send in a track mate. You can use the super chat feature of YouTube to make a donation, or you can use the Streamlabs donation link in the description below the stream on YouTube and make a little donation and include your link in the comment, the link to your SoundCloud track, and I'll give you some feedback. So, yeah, I really dig the track. So, key change, probably something you want to work on, and really try add some more percussion, especially in that section where the drums cut out. Like, the drums cut out, I get it. You want to cut out the drums right there and, have a little bit of a breakdown going. But I think just a ride would be enough for that section. So, let's see. We had Medic. He sent something in. Or for you guys on YouTube, Petter. He said send something in. It's a YouTube link. So let's see what we have right here. Oh boy. Thank you, Medic. And you know what, guys? We have to watch it, right? Yeah. I bet the people downstairs here are also thinking, what is he doing upstairs? Why is he listening to Rick Ashley? No, I mean, to be honest, I don't really mind this track. Like, a lot of people are completely done with the track. I don't really mind, you know. It's like a guilty pleasure track, you know? Like one of those 80s tracks that everybody says they don't like it, but secretly they kind of do. Because it's a catchy tune. You can't deny it. I was actually surprised to see that Rick Ashley is still performing. Like, he is still going strong. And I was really surprised. It's a banger. No, I was really surprised that he's still going. Like, to be honest, I don't know any other Rick Ashley tune than this one. And supposedly he has quite a bit of music, so it won't let you link. Just put the link in the chat and delete just put everything that's after soundcloud.com in the chat. Or something like that. Or delete the dot between SoundCloud and com, you know? Something like that. Or I'll just look it up. Let's see. Benomaly. See, that works. Just paste that after the link. Yeah, that works. So did we actually lose a lot of viewers during the Rickroll? Doesn't look like it. It looks like you guys are actually you withstood the Rickroll. Good. So we've got a track here called Silicon Tears by Benomaly. And this is labeled with Sci-Fi 80s soundtrack, EDM, electro synth. Probably gonna have some 80s kind of stuff. You're still here. Good. Well, I mean, you came here for Rick Ashley. Well, I'm really challenging you guys. Make a remix of that track. Like a drum and bass remix. And I'll be... Oh, that would be a meme track that we could share around. And it would just be a matter of time for people to play it out on the show and just rickroll the crowd with it. Anyway, let's get into this track. Let's listen to it. Going for some 80s neuro? So first of all, the whole track is pretty much one continuous wall of sound. I would at least try and include a few bits here and there where you have a bit of silence, or you have a few sections that are a little bit lighter and not just that full sounding as you have right now. It is very busy pretty much throughout the entire thing, which is not a problem, it can work, but I would definitely try and include a few sections which are a little bit less heavy and a little bit less full. Now, let's see. It starts off. I wouldn't say it's that harsh, it's just that synth is pretty loud. You can probably get away with that synth being a bit quieter in the intro. Even in this section, that synth is still pretty loud. That ARP synth in the background that you can hear from the intro. I would probably make that a little bit quieter, and that would most likely give you some more room in the mix as well to work with. Because some elements do tend to get lost a bit in the mix. So that's most likely because it's a really busy mix right now. Now, I'm really, you're hearing clicks on the stream. Wait, let me check. Let me check. Let me check. Is it my voice, or is it the SoundCloud? You don't think I heard that? Ah, it's the stream, okay. Now I'm wondering if my voice sounds good. It's your voice, only occasional clicks. Yeah, it might just be my my computer acting a little strange. My computer is I have a feeling my PC is about to die. Like it's compressing it. Well, my voice is compressed. It's running through a compressor. So it is compressing it. And clicking. Well, that's the odd thing, because if I turn it on right here, I don't hear any clicking. It's really hard to talk like that. Anyway, I'll have to see in the recording of this stream how it's how bad it is, because if I preview my own voice right here, I can actually hear it fine. So I'm not sure. But the question is, if I play this, does it sound right? I like what you're doing, that the drums are pretty, the drums are not as straightforward as you would hear these days in electronic music. So I really like what you're doing with the drums, and they definitely have that little bit of an 80s vibe to it. I kind of think that 80s synth is really making it sound 80s. Yeah, those synths, especially those synths, really make it those really give it the 80s vibe. And the snare. The snare is one of those classic 80s kind of snares. I do think the snare is too much in the background of the mix, though. There's some reverb on it, and I think the snare could have a little bit more body and bring it more up front in the mix. Because those 80s snares, even though they had reverb on them, they still sounded really big, and they always were really... Well, they were always up front in the mix, even in those times. So that's definitely something you want to work on. I think here when the electric guitar comes in, you might want to try. I'm not sure if it will sound good, but it might be a thing to try. The main growly, neuro-y bass that you have, try and low pass that one so that it's pretty much like only the low end of it, and then add the lead guitar on top of it. Because right now, as soon as you add that lead guitar, it becomes really busy. And I think that is because you have the bass. I think the bass is not low pass. No, I can clearly hear the low. I can clearly hear the mid range of the bass that you can also hear in the first half of the track. So what I would try is maybe low passing it a bit so that it becomes lower, and you don't really have the mid and high frequencies of that bass, and that is then taken over. That is then replaced by the lead guitar. You know, you're actually taking a part of one sound out, and then you're adding that lead guitar, which fills it back up. Now, I'm not sure if it'll work and if it'll actually sound good, but it's definitely something that's worth to try. Be sure, though, that the lead guitar is high-passed as well, so you don't stack up the low end, because that'll interfere with your bass again. So, but you're probably already doing that. Yeah, and it's indeed too loud, I would say, and the track needs a couple of sections where it has a little bit of silence. You know, you can even see it from the waveform itself. It's one block of sound. I would say add a good breakdown section where the drums cut out, where most of the instruments cut out, except for like 1, 2, or 3 elements that, you know, give it a little bit of a, just give it that time in the track that you can relax for a bit, wait for what's coming next, you know, you just refresh your ears a bit, because, you know, that'll make a track much better, you know, that's a big part of an arrangement. You don't want to have a wall of sound, right? Room to breathe, that's the word I was looking for. But yeah, that's what you want to do, especially. I think that would make this track a lot better as well. Mixing wise, you definitely want to look a bit into it, because everything does sound quite loud. You can hear it in the intro when there's no drums. Everything, all the other sounds become really loud. And I think that's what Sub Frequency was saying in the chat. What it sounded harsh when the intro started. I don't think it sounds harsh. There's not, the high frequencies aren't really piercing. They're just really loud, you know. And I think if you make that all a little bit quieter, maybe it's just, maybe you have like a bunch of compression on the master that's just acting, that's just having, maybe there's like really heavy compression on the master. Just tone it down a bit, you know, add a bit less of that compression. If that's not the case, maybe you're just doing compression or other things on the tracks itself. Tone those down a bit so it's not that loud and not that compressed. Bring some dynamics back into this mix. That's probably something you can do something with. So, other than that, I quite like it. It does have like an 80s vibe, and I actually like 80s music a lot, to be honest. I was born in the 80s, so I grew up listening to a lot of 80s music. So yeah, I do like 80s music a lot, and I kind of like the whole, what is it called, synthwave genre right now, where all these producers are making like these old 80s inspired tracks. I kind of dig them, you know. It's not something that I can see myself make. Maybe I do, you know. It could be a challenge. It could be something I could try out. And if you guys want to see that, then tell me, let me know, because I'm always up for something like that. I never tried, to be honest. I have a few synths that have like those kind of sounds, so it could be something I would try at some point. You know, 80s drum and bass. It is something that we could try at some point. Retro step. Yeah, that's a good, it could be a new subgenre of drum and bass. Retro funk. Kung Fury. Yeah, indeed. What was his name? Kaspersky or whatever? I'm not. No, that was a virus scanner, right? Anyway, something like that. There were a few actually. Miami something. I'm not sure. I'm not too much into the genre, to be honest, but there's actually there's actually one synth that is really good for 80 sounds. It's called what was it called? It's called June. I'm not sure which company made it, but June has some really good 80 sounds in it. Kavinsky, right? Kavinsky, that was it. Yeah, I did listen to like the genre for a little bit. I haven't really gotten into it that much, but I was kind of digging the sounds, and every now and then it's like one of those things that I like to listen to when I'm, you know, when I'm just commuting or in public transport, stuff like that. It's always nice to have on. Maybe when I'm riding my bike, you know, I do mountain bike rides. What did I just say? Mountain bike rides. I like to go and ride on my mountain bike every now and then, just cruise through the forests and stuff like that. And it's always nice to have some music on if I'm doing that. And the whole synthwave kind of music is definitely something that I've been listening to a bit. But I can't really say that I've been getting too much into it, because I wouldn't really know much of the artist, let alone the tracks that they make. But it's an interesting sound, and I really like it. Check out the UA free synths, great for them 80s vibes. Yeah, the Tyrol synth could actually be a pretty good one. The Tyrol synth is a free one, and I have to say it's a really good free synth. So if you haven't gotten, it's called Tyrol N6, I think, by UE, and it's a really good free synth, to be quite honest. It has a really good sound for a free synth. Like, there's so many free synthesizers out there that have a pretty shitty sound, to be quite honest. And to be honest, there's even paid synthesizers that have a shitty sound. But the UA Tyrol plugin is actually a really good sounding free synth, and I'm using it every now and then. I have the other UA synth, so I tend to go more for UA Diva if I need that, like a more analog type sound. But the Tyrol one definitely does the job as well. It can sound really, really fat, and it's definitely amazing for a free synth. And that's right, yeah. The tall synths are also really nice. The whole tall plugin bundles are pretty good, to be honest. Did we have some more stuff to review, actually? No, we don't have any other tracks to review, guys. So if anybody of you wants to have a track reviewed, then you can send your track in. Just make a little donation on the Streamlabs donation link in the description below the stream, or you can use the YouTube Super Chat feature and include the link to your track, and I'll be able to find it back and give you some feedback. So I'm actually really liking this track. I'm not sure, Banamali, if you are already a member of my Discord server. Any of you who are watching right now, if you want to be part of my music production server on Discord, where we talk about music production every single day, check out the links below the stream. There's a couple of links, and there's also an invite link to my Discord server. And it would be nice to see you guys there, because this is definitely something I would be interested in, where you're gonna take this track with the advice that I gave you, because it's definitely something I would like to see when it's finished. So if you aren't a member yet, then check out the link, the invite link in the description, and join the Discord server. Yeah, I'm actually also wondering what you used for the electric guitar. I wouldn't say they sound that real, but they do sound good. Oh, you've used your own guitar. Well, then they do sound real, sorry. No, the guitar, it's good. I wonder how the guitar sounds when the mix is a bit cleaner in that section, though, because it's a bit obscured right now by the main bass, and I think that's why it sounds a bit muddy in that last section when the electric guitar comes in. I think if you take that bass down a bit, you know, like I said, maybe low pass it and have the lead guitar take over the high end, maybe that lead guitar will sound much cleaner as well. And let's see, could be good video game music. Yeah, this is actually music that you could hear a lot in a video game. Yeah, that 80s kind of style is definitely something you would hear in certain video games. And what juice are you vaping? I'm vaping a juice by 12 Monkeys called Harambe. And it's a I think it's a Canadian company, actually. I think. It's pretty good, to be honest. Yeah, Guitar Rig is pretty good for doing distorted guitars. I'm actually quite a fan of it on using it on bass lines as well, and drum and bass. It can really make a reed sound very heavy. You do want to be careful with it though, because it tends to be really heavy on reeds. So like you can turn your reeds into something that sounds almost like an electric guitar. But if you just really spend some time with Guitar Rig, with the individual modules that are in it, and really start going in the modules itself, just try and look at every module separately and just see like what does this module do and what does this module do. I find that then you can actually use it very well for distorting bass lines or respaces or stuff like that. Maybe even lead synths, you know? You could also use it on that and really use that to give the lead synths a bit more of a guitar, distorted guitar kind of sound, while it's not a guitar. And I find that to be really, really nice, especially for heavier genres. Yeah. Other than that, the track is it's pretty nice. It's interesting. Which headphones do you use, Art? I use the AKG K240 Mark II headphones. I've been using them for a while now, and I quite like them. I have been using the new Sonarworks Reference 4 software, though, and I have to say, after I started using that, the headphones sound, well, so much better than they sounded before. It's like they suddenly have much more bass now, and it's interesting. I'm gonna do a video about Sonarworks Reference 4 in probably next week. I really like it, to be honest. At first I was like, do I like this? Is it actually giving me a better representation of my tracks? But to be honest, the more I started using it and the more I started getting used to the sound after the Sonarworks calibration was applied, I was actually getting to like it a lot more and more and more. So, and at this point, I'm now getting to the stage where I'm comparing stuff that I made before I started using the Sonarworks reference plugin and stuff that I made after it. And I'm actually thinking that I start to like it more. So, after the calibration. So, I'll do a video probably next week about the whole thing. I actually have the setup with the measuring microphone that they also sell. So I actually have the entire setup. I also measured my studio, which is actually pretty interesting because I'm in an untreated studio room. I don't have a treated room. This is just a bedroom where I'm in, you know? And so therefore I was really interested to see what the Sonarworks software was actually going to do in my room, because I know that my room is far from ideal. So it was really interesting, and it definitely showed that I do have quite of an issue in my room with the frequencies. Like the low end definitely sounds bigger on one speaker than on the other, because one speaker is kind of cramped into a corner a bit. There's no other way. I just don't have the time, you know. So yeah, to be honest, I don't really bother treating this room, because it's honestly it's a bedroom and it's filled with stuff. So I don't care too much about it. If I'm looking for a different house at the moment, and if I move, then I'm gonna be building. Hopefully, I'm gonna have like a separate room, a spare room that I can use for a studio. And then I will actually, you know, go in and properly build a studio up. But right now, I'm just still in a bedroom, and that's where I work from. It's good enough for what I do. So, but the Sonarworks plugin definitely made a huge change, both to the way my headphones sound, but also to the way my speakers sound. And I think, especially for people in the same situation as where I am, and I'm going to be doing a video about it, but I definitely think the Sonarworks plugin can make a huge change to how your speakers sound in your room, even when you have no acoustic treatment or anything like that at all, because you're measuring the speaker, you're measuring the room, right? So the software will make up for any issues your room has, and that is a really interesting idea. Now it did take quite a bit of time for me to get used to, but it did make it sound much better. Like right now, if I work on my monitors and I turn them on, like let's say I turn the left speaker on, and then I turn the right speaker on, and simultaneously turn the left speaker off, so that I'm alternating between the left and right speaker. I can just hear, when I'm not using the Sonarworks plugin, I can hear that the left speaker has much more bass than the right speaker, which is weird because it's the same speakers. So that tells me that the bass is probably lost somewhere in that corner behind my right speaker. There is, right here on the right, there is a corner. So and there is an angled roof right here. So maybe the bass just bounces off in a different direction, and that's why I hear less bass on the right speaker than I do on the left speaker. It also sounds like there is a slight volume difference in my two speakers even if I set them to the exact same volume. After the Sonarworks plugin was applied, it kinda just got rid of all of that. I can alternate between the left and right speaker, and I don't really hear a frequency change anymore. I don't hear a volume change anymore. It's just fully making up for it, and it's interesting. I'm not fully used to it yet, because it's kind of like, it is one of those things that you definitely have to adjust to, you know? Especially when you know your setup so well like I do. I've been working on these speakers for such a long time, and it's really something you have to get used to, and it's not something that happens in a couple of hours, you know? You really have to spend like a few days or maybe even a week with the whole thing to really make it, well, make your ears adjust to it. You know, that's the most important thing. So they actually tell you to start listening to reference tracks that you know very well. So tracks that from artists that you've known for a long time, or artists that you really like. Just start listening to those tracks on the with the calibration plugin turned on, to just see what it does. And yeah, it's really interesting. Is there a way to donate with PayPal? Actually, you can. Let me check. I have a special PayPal donation page. Let me find that. It should be this, right? Yeah. If any of you wants to make a donation, but you can't do that with the Super Chat feature or with the Streamlabs for whatever reason, then you can also use this link right here. It's actually a link going straight to my paypal.me page. And you could use that as well. We haven't gotten any other feedback requests in, so we're just going to be talking a bit more about whatever the chat is going on about. So if there's any questions you guys want to ask me, then you could always ask your questions. Was it made for headphones only? No, it's actually made for headphones and speakers, but if you want to measure your speakers, like headphones, you can either buy it with a headphone combined, so then you get a calibrated headphone. So I can actually take these headphones and send them to Sonarworks, and they will then calibrate the headphones so that they sound, and they will create they're gonna measure the headphones, and then they'll create a profile that you can load into your software, into the Sonarworks software. So you can, I think it's actually a service that they have where you can send in your own headphones, and they will actually measure them and create a profile for you. But they also have created like average profiles. So for all the, let's say, all the AKG K240s, Mark IIs that they've measured, they've taken the average and created a profile for that. And those are included in the headphone version of the plugin. You can then use that, you know, and it'll calibrate your headphones. But if you want to calibrate your speakers, you gotta understand that you also need the microphone, because the speakers, you're not necessarily measuring the speakers. Well, you are, but you're more so measuring what your speakers are doing in your room. And that is much more important, because your speakers might be as flat as possible. Like I can buy a set of speakers that are so flat, you know, that they give me the flattest possible frequency response. But if my room is untreated, then there's no use. You know, those speakers will not sound flat in an untreated room. You really will have to put a lot of effort and time into making your room sound perfectly neutral as well, to get that perfect flat response. Because whatever your speakers are going to put out, are going to send out into your room, those frequencies will be affected by what is around you in the room, and the reflections will come towards you, and that is going to affect how you hear the sound. So the microphone that you can buy from Sonarworks will then record, you know, what comes out of your speakers. And with that, it will also record the reflections coming from your left side, coming from the right side, the top or the bottom, anything that bounces up from your desk or whatever. It'll just pick that up as well. And then it's going to calibrate and it's going to adjust. And it's going to try and make that frequency response as flat as possible. So that is something I've been doing lately, and I'm actually really liking it. So can you compensate from a bad room by mixing quiet? Well, I bet if you mix quieter, then you do get less of the reflections, you know? So if you have like I have a window right here to my right side, I get reflections from that window, except right now I've got like a set of blinders that are in front of the window, so that kind of breaks the reflection coming from my right side a bit. But the louder I put my volume up, the louder that reflection is going to be. So yes, if you bring the volume down, then you do get less of those reflections, but it will never be completely gone. It will always be there. And the only way to fully get rid of it is by taking care of that source, you know, that window. Put something in front of it so that reflection doesn't bounce back. That's a better solution. You tried Sonarworks, but you found it weird. Yeah, listen, the first time I tried it, I found it to sound really weird as well. But it is something you gotta get used to. It's not something that you are just gonna instantly like. It's really something you have to put on, and you have to start listening to it, and, you know, just getting used to and getting accustomed to the new sound. That's kind of like what you want to do. And that takes a bit of time, pretty much. I asked already why get used to a software instead of speakers. No, you're not getting used to the software. What your speakers have a certain frequency response, okay? And no, the sound quality doesn't improve. What it does is you don't see, like, your speakers have a certain frequency response, okay? So in my case, for instance, my two speakers, I have my left and right speaker, and they both have the same frequency response. But in my room, the speakers do sound different. The left speaker sounds different from the right speaker because they are not set up in a symmetrical way. The right speaker is crammed up into a little corner right here. So, and there's no other way because I just have to deal with the space that I have. So there's no other way, and you gotta work with what you have. But because that one speaker is crammed into the corner, it starts to sound different from the speaker that is on my left side, which has more free space around it. So there's less reflections coming from that left side. Here on the right side, I can bet you, because the baseboard on my monitors are also in the back, so I can bet you that there's actually a good amount of bass frequencies building up here behind my right speaker. And that's just an issue I have with my room. And because of that, I get a wrong... because of that, my speakers don't show me exactly how my track sounds. It actually changes the way my track sounds, and the only way to get rid of that would be to treat the room properly and to set up the room properly. And right now, you know, that Sonarworks software, because you measure the difference between the two speakers and you measure the reflections from your room, it'll actually kind of take care of that. It's not the best solution, don't get me wrong. A better solution would be to fully treat your studio and set up a studio in a symmetrical way, preferably in a you know, a square or rectangle shaped room where everything is set up symmetrical. That would be the most ideal way. But it's not always possible, you know? And sometimes you gotta work with less space, and sometimes you even gotta work with a space that's far from ideal. And in that way, in that particular instance, I think the Sonarworks software actually can help you a lot to get your speakers to still sound flatter and more neutral than what they normally do in your room. Okay, that will be an interesting one to tell you as well. So the thing is, for instance, with me, my speakers, I know, in this room, the bass gets lost a bit. So whenever I work on my monitors, I tend to hear less bass than there actually is. So I'm not constantly A-Bing my stuff to other people's tracks. Now, I do use reference tracks every now and then, but it's not something I use all the time. So what you can run into then is that because of the fact that the bass frequencies here get a little bit lost in my room, that I start adding more and more bass to the point where I actually add too much bass. Now, after I apply the calibration of Sonarworks, I hear the bass much more upfront suddenly. I can see in the correction in the Sonarworks plugin, and I'll show you guys in the video that I'll upload next week. You can actually see that it's raising up the bass frequencies that are getting lost in this room, and therefore I get a much better presentation of how my track sounds across the frequency range, and therefore I am much less likely to make boosts that are too high. Like, it's much less likely that I'll add too much bass in the production process because I can clearly hear now that there is enough bass. Like, previously, I would hear less bass than there actually is, and I would have so much times when I would have had like a production session and I would have made like a little part of a track, and in the evening I would put it on my headphones and I would hear like it's completely drowned in sub bass. Like the sub bass would be maybe even 3 or 4, sometimes even 5 dB too loud, and that was just a result of my speakers not portraying the bass correctly in my room. And you know, the Sonarworks software does take care of that. It's not the best solution. I mean, the best solution is just to treat your studio, right? But I'm not gonna treat this studio at the moment. I'll do that if I have my new studio. I don't want to put in the effort into this room because this room is far from ideal to begin with, so... I got one 15 centimeter higher than the other, and even that sounds weird. What? Do you also listen to music with Sonarworks, or is it just good for mixing? I don't really use it for listening to music that much. I don't use the Sonarworks system-wide plugin, so it doesn't apply to my entire system. I only use it as a VST plugin inside my DAW, mainly because somehow system-wide doesn't want to work for me. That might be because I'm using the Voicemeeter audio software. Might be because of the routing in the Voicemeeter software that it just screws it up. Somehow, all of the audio devices that I can select inside the system-wide plugin from Sonarworks don't work. Whichever one I choose, I get an error message. It's weird, I don't know why. I've been looking into it, but I haven't been able to get that to work. So I just use it as a DAW plugin. And so I just use the VST plugin inside my DAW on my master track as the last plugin on my master. It's a little bit of getting used to because it does make your track a lot quieter. So that was something I was struggling with a bit at first, because of the correction, right? It's going to correct. It's going to cut certain frequencies. It's going to boost others, and you know, therefore, it's gonna get louder. So it has to bring your track down. Otherwise, you're gonna get clipping. So that was something I was, you know, a little bit not that happy with at first, but it's just a matter of turning your gain up a bit. You know, that's all you have to do. and just make sure that before you finish the track, before you start mixing and mastering the track properly, and before you start exporting the track, rendering the track, just be sure to turn that plugin off, because you don't want other people to hear that. So I'm still figuring out if there's a way how I can actually have the Sonarworks plugin only audible for me and not for the people watching my live stream. So I probably won't be using the Sonarworks in the stream tomorrow, because otherwise you guys will hear the calibrated version of the audio, which is not ideal. You guys want to hear the uncalibrated version, but I haven't really figured out a way how I can apply just that calibration to my headphone audio and nothing else. But I'll look into it and see if that's actually a possibility. I have some packs of rock wool in my room, by the way. Well, yeah. I mean, rock wool insulation does take care of audio frequencies. So I bet indeed just storing a few of those in your room would take care of some of the reflections. I mean, if I'm gonna get like a full-on studio, or at least like a full separate space to build a studio in, or not even like a full-on music studio, but more like a simple production studio. I would probably take care of some of the reflective surfaces and maybe include like a diffuser somewhere to get rid of some reflections. But I'll see what happens. I've been looking around and seeing if I can find something, but yeah, there is definitely a clear difference before the Sonarworks calibration and after. Kind of depends on the headphones or the speakers that you're using, though, because not every headphone is corrected as much as the other one. Like, it really varies from brand to brand. Like, I always assumed that my AKG K240s had quite a bit of bass, but I could see in the Sonarworks calibration software that even those lacked a bit of bass and were far from neutral. So it kind of also tells you what is wrong with your room or what is wrong with your headphones. Like, are my headphones more boosted in the low end, or is there more like a boost around 100 or 200 hertz? Like, I know my headphones have a significant boost around 200 hertz. So that is why in a lot of my older tracks I was boosting way too much on the fundamental frequency of the snares. Like, if you listen to my really old projects that I still have lying around, you can just hear that the snare fundamental frequencies are just boosted way too far. But that's because way too far. But that's because the headphones I was using actually had like a little dip there, or the other way around. I'm not sure, but it's definitely interesting. It's definitely interesting, but it does take a good amount of time to get used to. I think I had like a good 2 or 3 days where I was kind of debating inside my head if I liked it or not. But after that, I really started noticing that after working for like a good week with the plugin turned on, then I switched back to without it, and everything sounded so weird. It was really weird. So it does make a huge difference. You have a lot of questions. Well, you can always ask your questions, man. You can always ask your questions. Oh, this was actually the version that I did from the Liquid track that I started. This was the piano version with una corda. I actually really like the sound of that piano plugin. Now, are there any people who want to have some more feedback or not? Because otherwise, I'll probably stop the stream right now, and I'll see you guys tomorrow doing some production, actually. Let me know in the chat if you guys are still looking for feedback. Hey man, does Ableton Live 10 crash when you open it first in a while? What do you mean? What do you mean? Do you mean like the first time you actually started up? I had the first time I started Ableton Live 10, it did crash on me once, but that was during the whole scanning of VST plugins. So maybe one of the plugins was a little bit dodgy in my folder, but it crashed once during that scanning of the VST plugins, but after that it just loaded fine. Now there is a bug at the moment with Ableton Live 10 that I am aware of. I think the Ableton team is now aware of it too, and that is, it seems to be happening only on Windows systems. I'm not sure if anybody on Mac has the same issue. Like every day when I open it for the first time, it crashes. Okay. Well, I'm seeing a similar bug, but what I'm seeing is that it looks like it freezes, and I've been able to find out what it is, and I can tell you guys. My Live 10 is crashing sometimes scanning the plugin folder. I just close and reopen it. Yeah, see what the issue is right here with me. Every time I start Ableton Live 10, it takes a really long time to load. Up to the point where it actually freezes. Yeah, it freezes, right? Now my question to you guys is, do you guys have a second screen on your computer? Or are you using one screen? Might be a little bit of a weird question, but trust me. Because I found out as soon as I unplugged... No, you don't. Okay, that's weird. But, yeah, well, I found out that, because every time I load up Ableton Live 10, it takes, like, sometimes up to 5 to 10 minutes to load. And it just looks like it's completely freezing up. I can click the window. I can even go into my task manager, and it will show that the whole thing is freezing, you know, and I have to wait or I have to stop the process. I found out that as soon as I unplug, or I just shut down that process, I'll just shut down the Ableton that has been frozen, just get rid of it, and then I'll unplug my second monitor, my second screen, and try it again. And voila, it just magically loaded in like a few seconds. And I looked online, and I saw a couple of people talking on the Ableton Beta forum about the same thing. Plus, I saw some people on other websites, other forums talking about the same thing as well. So right now, it looks like it's a Windows-only thing, but maybe it's also happening on Mac. I'm not sure. But for me, it worked. For me, it worked. As soon as I unplugged my second screen and tried again, Ableton just loaded in like a couple of seconds, maybe 10 seconds max. While with my second screen, you know, plugged in, it can take like 5 minutes sometimes. It's crazy. And I was really not liking it, you know. I was really trying to find out why it happened. Can you use both 32-bit and 64-bit VSTs in Live 10? As far as I know, you can only use 64-bit VSTs. I don't think Live 10 has a bridge built in. Like which DAW was it? I noticed with the new Logic updates it gets longer and longer loading in. I'm not sure about Logic. I don't use Logic, so I'm not sure about that. Ableton has the auto update feature now as well, which is kind of a weird thing as well. I would like Ableton Live 10 to at least tell me when it's upgrading. You know, right now Ableton has implemented an auto update feature so that when there's a new version and you start up Ableton Live 10, it'll just automatically update itself in the background. But it doesn't tell you that. So I've been, you know, I saw that there was an upgrade for Ableton Live 10, and I was just sitting here, just like, why do I keep on seeing version 9 every time I load up Ableton? There's an auto update, right? So it gave me like the message, hey, there's an auto update, and every time I would start up Ableton, it would still show version 9, even though version 10 had been released from the beta versions. And I was like, what? But apparently, Ableton will just continue updating itself in the background while it's open, and you have to wait for that to finish, so that when you shut it down and start it up again, it will actually show the new version. But it doesn't tell you how far in the update progress it is. There's no progress bar or anything like that, so that's kind of a bit awkward right now. I would definitely like them to implement at least some form of visual message that tells you where in the update process it actually is, you know? That would be nice. Would you ever switch to Cubase? I have been a Cubase user in the past. I'm not sure which version 5, I think. But I did use Cubase in the past. And yes, I have the Ableton Live 10 beta version. It's supposed to be released soon, anyway, so... But I do hope they figure out the few little bugs that have been going on. Because the slow startup bug is definitely... It's not fun, you know? I mean, I can be... you know, you can't expect me to go and unplug my second screen every time, so they definitely should look into it and try and find out why that happens. But at least I saw that other people are having the same issue, and it looks to be fixed as soon as you unplug your second monitor. And after Ableton has then loaded up, you can plug it back in, and it'll run just fine. It's just during the actual, starting up of Ableton Live 10 that you see that happening. Isn't the beta full now? I think it is. I'm not sure, but I filled in for the beta. I signed up for the beta like what was it? A couple of months ago already, and they approved me in like 1 day, so I don't even think it was a full day. And they approved me right away, but they might know my name, so they might have seen that I was the one, because I've been doing Ableton Live videos for a while now, so I'm pretty sure they have seen my name by now. And they know that I do videos, so it would be interesting for them to at least give me the beta, give me access to it so that I can start doing videos about it. So that kind of makes sense that I was approved that fast, but... So... I don't think we have any... No, we don't have any donation requests or feedback requests coming in. I'm not in the mood as well to do a lot more streaming. Tomorrow, guys, I'm going to try and do a production stream. See how my computer is going to... I'll see how my computer is going to... well... how it's going to... What is the word? I'm completely out of words right here. I don't know what to say. Or how to say what I want to say. That's the thing. But I'm going to try tomorrow to start working on a track. I'm not sure if it's going to work out fine. We might work on the little liquid track that I've started. Otherwise, I'm also pretty interested in trying to do some glitch hop again. And we have a whole bunch of tracks from the EP that still need to be finished, so there's plenty of stuff to work on. But we'll see tomorrow. I'm not sure yet. But tomorrow, 8 p.m. Central European time, I'm going to do another stream, and we'll do some producing if my computer allows me to, because I have to say, guys, every day that goes on, it feels like my PC is really well, it's really starting to die. Like it's on the end of its time. So it's good that I'm selecting the parts right now for the new build. I hope this one keeps on going strong for a little more time, so that we at least can make the transition from the old build to the new build. But soon everything is going to be a lot better. Now, I hope you guys liked the little stream that we did. I hope you guys learned a bit or two. I hope to see you guys back tomorrow again. If not, or if you want to be part of a music production community, check out the invite link to my Discord server below the stream. There's an invite to my Discord server where we talk about music production, and I also let people know whenever I go live on YouTube. You can ask your questions there to me directly or to any of the other members, and you can get some help on your tracks, share your tracks, share some presets that you made, or just talk about any random topic. Would be great to see you guys there. And other than that, I'll see you hopefully tomorrow. Peace.